Hey everyone, so I have been dying to do a girl talk or a sister talk for a while now, and I'm just getting around to it and I'm so excited. It's just going to be a very personal, intimate conversation coming from my point of view, growing up as a young woman, being a young adult right now, and especially like a woman of color. So I hope that you enjoy this video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brittney and I do Christian-based lifestyle videos that focuses heavily on figuring out adulthood. So if that is something that you are interested, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, being a woman is hard, being a young woman is hard, being a girl is difficult. Every stage comes with its unique challenges. And I've gone through so many videos that, you know, like I've been searching for like tips and tricks on how to navigate growing up, how to navigate life on a whole, how to navigate every little unique thing that kind of like comes my way as a woman, as a young adult, and as a woman of color. And there's so many things that I've stressed about. There's so many questions that I have, you know, wondered, and some I've gotten answers to and some I haven't. And it's just still figuring it out, right? But there's just a few things that, like, I don't know if it's just not talked about in our community as Black women or, you know, women of color, or it's just not prevalent conversations that I see happening. And then it's kind of like we're all left to figure it out on our own, which makes it so much more difficult rather than just having these open conversations, because we all go through these things. We all struggle. We all kind of just, you know, take the time to learn and figure it out. But how much better would it be if we were able to just pass that knowledge along? We were able to tell somebody else, hey, like, this is happening to you, or you're going through this, and this is how I, you know, kind of navigated it. So going right into it. So I don't really recall growing up in Jamaica, you know, really learning about self-love. Mind you, like, my mom always taught us to love ourselves, to understand our value and our worth, to love our hair, to love our body, and to just embrace who we are. But society-wise, it was never a huge discussion. And then, you know, even though we're in Jamaica, a lot of our television, a lot of our media is brought in from abroad. So it's a lot of American and Canadian and UK TV media that we see and that we're exposed to. And of course, you know, those images that we're seeing are all people of other races, predominantly white women and men. And it's kind of like daunting growing up and not really seeing yourself being represented in media, not seeing yourself represented as the standard of beauty, not seeing yourself represented as, you know, the models or the very popular, you know, girls in high school in your favorite TV shows, only seeing Black characters as supporting, you know, so in supporting roles and so on and so forth, not seeing, you know, natural hair being rocked, not seeing natural hair being praised, not seeing natural hair represented anywhere really, especially like when I was growing up. And I don't know, like, it did something to me where I remember being young and just wanting my hair to be processed, wanting my hair to be straight, wanting my hair to look like, you know, the popular people on TV. And I remember asking my mom so much, and she'd always be like, no, no, no. And now I'm thankful that she said no, because I've learned to love my hair as it is. But it wasn't easy, and I just feel like there aren't that many conversations. I feel like now there are, but when I was growing up, there weren't as many conversations about self-love. And I would say that's one of the biggest conversations that we need to start having with ourselves, with, if you're a mother, with your daughters and your sons, you know, with your friends. Because honestly now, like, going through life and working with youth and young adults, if you don't love yourself first, you're going to end up in toxic situations, toxic relationships. The next thing, and for those of you who grow up in a Caribbean household, I'm saying Caribbean because, like, that's what I'm used to being exposed to, right? Body shaming. I am a heavier person. I'm a plus size person, and that's not always something that I am happy about or proud of or am confident saying. And a lot of that stems from, you know, growing up, and it was just something that I constantly heard every time. Oh my gosh, Brittney, you're so big. Oh, if you fell, you just bounce right back up. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And even coming back to Jamaica, I don't know what it is with Jamaicans, but that is the first thing that people say to me. They comment on my weight. And now I just look at them and I walk away, because thank God I've matured a little bit more. But before, my mouth was quick to put some people in their place. But I grew up, and the funny thing is, I look back at pictures now of, you know, when I was younger, and when people would, you know, make these comments about how big I am and, you know, about my weight, and I'm just like, if you thought I was big then, like, what do you think now? Oh my gosh, I just don't know how we body shame people like that as a culture, and we think it's so acceptable and it's so okay. Nobody's weight is any of your concern, or it shouldn't be a topic of conversation unless they're the ones who bring it up, right? And mind you, it goes both ways. Like, my little sister is very petite, and people comment on that, and I'll be like, don't, because it goes both ways, right? And people have their own insecurities. We all think that because somebody's slim, that they're confident about everything, when in fact you just don't know what people are battling with, right? So be mindful. All my Jamaican people, commenting on somebody's weight is not the best way to start a conversation. Okay, so the next thing that I really want to talk about, and I remember being in third form, which is what, grade 6, 7, 8, 9, grade 9, and I had, you know, like, I hadn't started like shaving my legs, and I'm hairy, and I remember it was around that time that people really started commenting on my body here, and it made me feel so invisible yet so seen at the same time, but not seen in a good way. Like, it made me feel like such an oddball, like, oh my gosh, like, is it that bad? Am I that, you know, hairy? Is it like the first thing that people see when I show up to school? Because in Jamaica you wear like dresses with like a shirt underneath it, and so like there was no way to hide your legs, right? And I remember just being so conscious of it, because all the other kids in my class, you know, were starting to shave and stuff like that, but it wasn't a concern for me until people started highlighting it. And at that point, like, me and my mom hadn't had that conversation at all about like body hair and shaving and stuff like that. And I remember, you know, just dreading going to school and thinking of ways that I can like hide my legs, or like, you know, if I was sitting with somebody, I'd like cross my legs and tuck them under. Like, it was just so concerning. And I remember when I did start shaving, like, it boosted my confidence, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to properly shave, so that was a hot mess of a situation as well. And to be honest, I just wish that was a conversation that was had more about body hair. Not only like how to shave and when to start shaving, and, you know, the proper things to use, but also the fact that it's normal. Everybody grows hair. Everybody has leg hair, has hair on their arms, you know, under their arm. Like, we all grow hair, you know, and I hated that I felt targeted for it. I mean, I had one guy, and it was so random, because he was like, I was in third form, he was probably like fifth or sixth, he was in fifth form, and he's just like, I just love your leg hairs. And I looked at him, because I was just like, I don't know if you're like playing with me right now, but like, who says that? And it was just something, even to this day, like, I still shave, and, you know, like, I do it because I feel confident, not because anybody else, you know, is telling me that I need to, or anybody else is making me feel insecure, but it just makes me feel better about my body. But I still, you know, have conversations with people where I tell them, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And if you don't feel the need to shave or get rid of your hair in any method, no person should force you to do it to make you feel beautiful, to make you feel accepted, or anything of the sort. The next one, and I actually have a whole video on this. It's learning to love my black hair. So again, my mom always did her hair beautifully, always told us how nice her hair was, but then on, you know, social media wasn't really heavy for me when I was in high school here. But, you know, watching like the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, all the popular people, all the pretty girls, you know, all had straight hair because they were white. And I remember I go through phases of like just not knowing how to style my hair, not knowing how to comb it, and then having it combed in such a way that I didn't like it and I didn't feel confident, and then learning to just like not love it. I remember even, and I said this in my video about my hair, loving my hair journey, I remember in, again, third form, I don't know, that was a trying time for me. I had this girl, and I remember her name, but I'm not gonna say it. And she came up to me, and I've always had like, you know, like very thick, and I want to say long, but longer hair. Like I've always had like, you know. And she came up to me and she's like, because she had shorter hair, but she had beautiful hair and she always styled it so well. But she came up to me and she's like, "Ah, I never want my hair to be as long as yours." And I looked at her like, this is random. And she's like, because there's just nothing you can do with it. And best believe that in that moment I wanted to cut my hair. Why? I have no idea. And you know what? I think the next semester she had processed her hair so that it could be longer. And I was just like, wow. Wow. But anyways, learning to love my hair came with learning to style it, learning to care for it, learning what to do. And it's trial and error, let me tell you that, because all our hair types and textures and what our hair likes, what our hair wants, it's all so different based on each person. So what works for my mom's hair doesn't necessarily work for mine. What works for mine doesn't necessarily work for my older sister. What works for her hair doesn't necessarily work for my younger sister. It's just trial and error. Give yourself, you know, the freedom of creativity, the freedom of exploring, you know, things that work for your hair. Try it, see, you know, the things that help it to grow, the things, you know, the styles that make you feel good. Sometimes it takes a little bit extra work, but in that time, like, make it like a self-care thing, you know, like think about how you're gonna feel once it's done and once it's styled, and you know, you're just gonna feel confident and beautiful, and it's gonna be all worth it. Okay, so another thing, and I guess like I'm not really going in detail, and this, you know, chat is a little bit all over the place in regards to like the main topic, but it's just the things that have been on my heart and the things that I have struggled with. And the last one on my list is loving myself enough to enjoy being alone. I grew up in a huge family, have a lot of siblings, have a lot of cousins, aunts, uncles. There's a lot of us, okay? And I'm used to not being alone. I'm used to constantly having people around me, and sometimes it's overwhelming, but it's something that I've enjoyed. Even now, I really it's weird because I love being alone now. I love my space. I love, you know, being able to just like be alone and to just think and to just listen to my music and whatever. But when I first started taking time to be alone, it was because I was not in a positive headspace. It's because I was just sad and I just didn't want to have any social interactions, and I just didn't want to have to deal with anybody. So I'd lock myself in my room, put on some sad music and cry. We've all been there before. Don't pretend like you haven't, okay? So now I'm in a space where I've worked through that, and I still have those days. We all do. But I've worked through that, and I remember like going through a time where I could not be on my phone. I could not be texting or calling somebody. And I realized it's because I didn't enjoy my own company. I didn't enjoy being alone, because when I was alone, these are when your intrusive thoughts, you know, are loudest. And after working through that, I was able to realize like there is beauty in my own company. There are positive thoughts that I can be thinking. There's so many great things that I can be working through. And as a creative, as somebody who, you know, owns and runs my own business and is just trying to, you know, like figure out social media and YouTube and whatnot, it's in those moments that I really get my good ideas and kind of figure out directives for, you know, my next step and stuff like that. And so now I've shifted that narrative to enjoy being alone, because it's when I have my best moments of, you know, growth and self-reflection. if you hate being alone, if you're constantly needing somebody else, you need to start looking inside to seeing, why is it that I don't like being alone? If you don't enjoy being alone with yourself, nobody's going to enjoy being with you. But that is kind of all that I wanted to get off my chest. That's what I wanted to share. Those are just some little gems that I learned as a young woman growing up, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. And there's just so much more that I want to touch on, so much more that I've learned, that I've, you know, had to navigate, that I'm still figuring out, but I still like to openly have that conversation on here. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. As always, remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are enough, and I will see you next week for my next video.